Hello and welcome. My name is Christian Traverson, educator with the Loman Planetarium, and in this episode we'll be covering the dates of August 2nd to August 8th, 2021. This week we'll be doing a bit of planet hunting to find Saturn at opposition and Jupiter on display on the 2nd. For those of us who live on the Space Coast, a delayed launch from last week will give us an opportunity to see it take off this week. Later in the week we'll also be able to see one of this year's best meteor showers, and we'll also take a look at what's to come in the month of August. We'll begin our show looking to the east later in the evening on the 2nd of August, where both Jupiter and Saturn will be shining bright. Now, if you have a telescope and we're looking for a great opportunity to observe these two planets, then tonight is the night. Now, between these two, Saturn will appear a little bit brighter than it normally does, and that's because it's a little bit closer to us. In fact, it's actually at its closest approach in a phenomenon we refer to as opposition. This is the point at which Saturn is opposite to us from the Sun, as this illustration here shows. And so Saturn, being now around 830 million miles away, if you want to call that close enough to see through a telescope, it'll be a little bit more sharp. Also, because of this 18-degree tilt of Saturn, as you see here, we'll be able to see the northern pole as well as the magnificent ring system. So this is a must-see if you have a telescope and you were looking for an opportunity to see Saturn. It'll be crisp, it'll be sharp, you'll be able to see the ring system at this angle as well as the northern pole. Now, of course, Saturn is not the only planet we can see in tonight's sky. It's not the only one showing off as well, as in the evening sky on the 2nd, if you take a look at Jupiter, which is a lot closer to us than Saturn, so it'll appear a little bit brighter. Jupiter's around 450 million miles away, so between these two objects, regardless of Saturn's opposition, Jupiter will appear brighter overall in our nighttime sky. You'll be able to see it in great detail as well as being able to see tonight on the 2nd the precession of the Great Red Spot. As you see here, a superstorm we have known to exist for hundreds of years. And so for around 3 hours, starting around 9:30, you'll be able to see the beginning of that precession of the Great Red Spot in the upper atmosphere of Jupiter, as I mentioned, for around 3 hours or so. And so usually the entire revolution of the Great Red Spot is around 9 hours, but we don't always have an opportunity to see it in the evening skies. So not only you have a great opportunity to see the opposition of Saturn, you can see the precession of the superstorm on Jupiter. So both of these planets for the 2nd, incredible opportunity showing off for us in the evening sky. Now for something a little bit more down to earth. We have a very important launch that is scheduled to occur on the 4th this week. This is the 2nd of 3 proposed crew capsules that have been developed to bring astronauts to the ISS from the US. This one being the Boeing Starliner spacecraft launched aboard a United Launch Alliance Atlas V. This was originally set to launch on the 30th of July, but it had to be delayed due to an unrelated issue at the station itself. Earlier last week, we saw the launch of the Multi-Purpose Lab Module, the MLM, or Nayuka module, from the Russian space agency Roscosmos. Unfortunately, once this module was docked to the ISS, an issue with one of its onboard computers resulted in the safety system of the module instructing the system to fire its thrusters and move away from the station. But because the module was already attached to the station, this caused the ISS to tilt slightly and go off course. Now, NASA did not receive any threats to the crew and station itself, and now everything is on track. The station is back to its corrected orbit and its corrected position. But this did cause the delay in the Starliner spacecraft for a few days, which actually gives us an opportunity this week to actually see the launch. So if you might have missed it last week, or you would have missed it last week, you have another opportunity. Once again, that is on the 4th, and the liftoff time will be around 1:30 p.m. so long as everything continues to go right and they find that everything is nominal. We move on now to the 7th, where we'll start to see a preview of one of the biggest astronomical events of the year. This is the Perseid meteor shower, which is in the constellation of Perseus, the Greek mythological hero, as you see here. And this meteor shower will offer stargazers a very high rate of meteor activity. Anywhere between 60 to 100 meteors an hour on average will shoot across the northern part of the sky through the zenith, or highest part of the sky. Peak viewing time will occur about later in the evening, close to midnight. This time is set to around 1 o'clock in the morning, so that's probably one of the better times to go out here and enjoy this incredible event. As I mentioned, anywhere between 60 to 100 meteors on average an hour. That's around 1 to 2 meteors a minute you'll be able to see streaking across our nighttime sky. Now, while we'll start to see this meteor shower later this week, Its peak won't be until next week, mid-next week, which brings us to our last segment of the show, a quick roundup of what's to come in the month of August. We'll start our roundup of the month from the 11th to 12th of August, where Perseid meteor shower, which I mentioned earlier, will have its peak between these 2 days. Compared to last year, this year's opportunity to catch this event will be much better, as the moon will be below the horizon for most of the nights. This makes for a dark sky and great viewing opportunity this year. On the 18th of August, we'll have another planetary conjunction. Planetary conjunction being a point at which 2 planets are at their closest relative in our nighttime sky. Though this one will be a little bit harder to see as it'll occur right after sunset. This is the conjunction, though, of Mercury and Mars. On the 19th of August, we'll have another planetary opposition in our nighttime sky. Much like the opposition of Saturn, we'll see the closest approach of its neighbor, Jupiter. Lastly, on the night of the 21st, we'll have a full blue moon. Now, blue moons are called as such because they are either the second full moon of the month or the third full moon of the season if the season has 4 full moons, which is actually rare. Now, contrary to popular belief, a full moon does not normally mean that the moon itself appears blue, it's just only the 2 factors above. In the case of this month, the moon, it will be in the latter of the 2, being the third full moon of the season. Now, while the full moon may not appear blue, it may look a little bit closer to us, as it'll be close to its perigee, or perilune rather, its closest approach to Earth, which will occur on the 30th. And that's it for another edition of our Sky Tonight program. We want to thank you for tuning in and really appreciate your support. And please stop by the Lohman Planetarium at the Museum of Arts and Sciences. If you want any info on our shows or events, check out our website at moas.org. Thank you, take care, and happy stargazing.